dangerous trigger phrases, simple phrases that if you're just aware of them, you
Yes.
don't use them, and just think what kind of headaches you might save yourself.
Yeah.
But
Landmine.
thank you so much for joining us again on Second Act TV. Want to welcome back Joni Caldwell, Lerner, the motivational coach and host of Wake Up with Joni. Thanks for being here again.
Well, thank you for inviting me again.
Today, Joni, a topic that is so important in terms of maintaining a good relationship, your communication style, not even just with your romantic partner, but even with anybody. But of course, here we focus on the romantic aspects of our relationship. And that is dangerous trigger phrases that can actually ruin a relationship, being aware of what those are and what that can actually do. So how about you explain what a trigger phrase is, and then we can go into some details.
Well, it's interesting because as you were talking about that, I remember being in my 20s and I thought I feel really bad for my boyfriend because almost everything he said triggered me in some way, and it has nothing to do with that person. So a trigger phrase is something that it's like a tripwire of a past event, a past emotion, a past somatically stored trauma, even. And so it would be really helpful, I think, for people to know, here are some trigger phrases that you want to stay away from. Because it's like a landmine, basically. So we're giving you a map to where the landmines are. Just stay off the landmines. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Okay. And you're right that there's a lot of trigger phrases or triggered points, trigger words that mean a lot more to individual people. But there are some very common trigger phrases, and that's really all we can offer today that could set off an unnecessary argument. The first one here: I'm sorry, but the but. Why is but such a horrible thing to say ever?
Because it negates what you just said. I'm sorry, but, and then you launch into why you're right or why they're wrong or what's going on. And it completely dissolves the magic of an apology. If I say to you, I'm so sorry, that must have been really hard. How do you feel? Right? If I say, I'm sorry, but you really shouldn't have done that. How do you feel?
Yeah.
And I want to go back to what you said about the trigger phrase. If it's hysterical, it's historical. I didn't make that up. I heard that years and years ago, and it makes sense. And I've said it before on your podcast. If it's hysterical, in other words, she or he reacts violently, emotionally, there's something going on there way more than what you just said. So it's an opportunity to say, oh, I'm so sorry I triggered you. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah.
Not, but you're being hysterical.
It drives me crazy when I get the I'm sorry, but. And I don't want to pick on Paul, but he does. It was like just last week. It was we a little stressful moving back and forth here. And I don't even know what it was, something unimportant, but he goes, well, I'm sorry, but, and I'm like, oh,
the steam starts coming off.
It does. So it's something so simple. My point is, it's something so simple to remember that anytime you use the word but, really become aware in what reference that is. There's very few instances that but should ever be used, because it does negate everything you just said. And I thought that I learned that years ago, and I thought that was just so interesting. And ever since then, I tried to be aware of it. So
yes.
Anyway,
well, let me just, if you don't mind, let me pull a thread on that. He said, I'm sorry, but, and then he negated his apology.
Yes.
Right. And then your response was anger.
It was.
Yeah, great point. That's what you're going to get, audience. If you say but, you're going to get even Silka, the great, amazing Silka, who knows this stuff. Human. Me too.
That's funny. That's funny.
Thanks for being vulnerable and authentic, in that moment, because it's a teachable moment.
Well, there's something about giving advice and following it that
That's
is an
powerful.
issue here. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Enough about I'm sorry, but
But
here's another good one. I'm over it. I
oh, I'm
think I
so
just
over
said
it.
that the other. I'm so over it. That
All right.
is, I mean, that
Dismissive.
in and of itself is spiteful,
It's
right?
spiteful. It's dismissive. That's the word that comes up for me. You just dismissed all of it. I'm over it. I'm over you. I'm over this. I'm over that. The conversation isn't important enough for me to have. Or I'm not willing to work through this. I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing is they want to put a stop to the conflict. They want to put a stop to the conversation because it's uncomfortable. I'm over it.
Well,
Blocked.
and it's very confusing unless, especially
Over what?
if you're just quiet, you just give the silent treatment anyway, and this I'm over it, and that's it. What is it that you're over?
Right.
It
Yeah.
might be obvious or it might not be. And again, it breeds insecurity, in my opinion.
Well, and if your partner has good communication skills, the partner can say, "Oh, what exactly are you over?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it." Because
Yeah.
it feels like you got frustrated there. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we go back to don't make assumptions, ask questions. And sometimes, and we've talked about law of attraction, we attract sort of like communication, or if we've been together for a long time, or we're new in this, you don't have matching communication skills.
Right.
And then it becomes something else. It's like, fine, you're over it, I'm over it.
Right.
Whatever.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and I'm over that one now. Here's another one that should be so obvious, but it isn't. It's you always or you never. You always do this or you never do this.
Right.
Again, it just causes immediate conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. So you never say I love you. So the person's thinking, you didn't hear when I said I love you? Like they have been invalidated. You
Mm-hmm.
never, or you always. So it can't possibly be true. Never and always can't be true. So say, there are times when you, or there are times when you do this and I feel, because
Mm-hmm.
we've talked about that before, because you don't want to, you're bad, you're wrong, I mean,
Right.
nobody likes that. Yeah.
Yeah, you immediately challenge. You put something into play that's going to be challenged. Like you said, it's not true. Nothing is always or never. So
Right.
now you have to argue about whether or not. I mean, it's two words that will do no good
Yes,
during
no good.
an
And it's
argument.
just somebody trying to be right about something. Or
Exactly.
okay. Very good.
Exactly. I agree. Here's one that I just drives me crazy. I think this is probably women feel this more than men, but calm down. That I think men would love women to calm down because we do tend to get maybe more excited over stuff, little things even, or it's perceived
Mm-hmm.
that way. But calm down is not a good thing to say, right?
Right, right. Well, all you have to do is put yourself, listeners and Silka and Joni, put yourself in that position. You are getting worked up, you're angry about something is not working, may have nothing to do with the person at all. And they go, calm down. Like, seriously? Seriously. Because that just took my blood pressure up another 20 points. Maybe instead of saying calm down, you say, what's going on? Is there anything I can do to help here? No, I'm just frustrated about blah, blah, blah. It's not about you. Okay. So
Yeah.
that now they've just released some of the energy and they're able to calm down a little bit. Very
Yeah.
different approach.
Right. And to be like, calm down, you might as well say, don't be so sensitive or you're overreacting. I mean, you're
You're wrong.
invalidating. Yeah, you're wrong.
Yes.
You're invalidating whatever the person is experiencing that is causing an uproar, an uprise that needs to be calmed down. But those
Well,
two
and
words are not going to do it.
no, and inherent in those two words
Mm-hmm.
is the message. You're making me uncomfortable. I don't like the way you're acting. Change it. Do something
Mm-hmm.
different. Bring it
Yeah.
down. So we need to be able to hold the container for
Mm-hmm.
our partner. They need to process whatever they need to process.
Yeah, I think you said it. With calm down, it's ask. Hey, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
What has you so upset, or what has you feeling like this? So
Yeah.
you want to know what's
Mm-hmm.
going on versus invalidating it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's anyway.
Yeah.
I think again, this happens all the time. Simple words, simple phrases that if you're just aware of them, you
Yes.
don't use them, and just think what kind of headaches you might save yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Landmine.
exactly. The number 5 here, you were supposed to,
Oh, really? Was I?
reminding
According
someone
to
of
whom?
what they forgot. Yeah.
Yeah, you were supposed to. Think about that. How do you feel when somebody says to you, "Well, you were supposed to"? Let's say it's just garbage. The garbage was supposed to be taken out.
Mm-hmm,
Supposed to. Okay.
mm-hmm,
Hey, babe, could you grab the garbage and take it out? Now you haven't made him wrong. You've just reminded him that the him, her, whatever.
mm-hmm.
John and I, whoever notices the thing is full is the one that
Yeah.
takes it out. Be careful not to make people wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to is a you were, you bad, bad, bad.
Well, and sometimes it is bad. But then how do you handle or get over it? Oh, no, I mean bad. But say, for example, you forgot to turn on the electricity in the new house.
Oops.
You were supposed to do that. Yeah, we forgot. And
Yes.
it has happened. But but then you were supposed to. Well, shifting blame. And then
Yeah.
again, you're putting a confrontational position into place that may not be that necessary.
Yeah. I was just going to say we all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm,
So let's say I was supposed to pay the utility bill and I forgot.
mm-hmm.
You know, you were supposed to pay the utility bill, you idiot, is
Yeah,
what I will hear. As
yeah.
opposed to, oh, all right, so what do we need to do?
Mm-hmm,
I'll call the utility thing. It's not about blame or making people wrong. And
mm-hmm,
remember the old saying, you made a mistake, that doesn't make you a mistake. So you have to be very
mm-hmm,
cognizant too of who your audience is. If you know your person is very sensitive and they tend to go to self-blame and
mm-hmm.
flatulation and all that
Yeah.
stuff, you have to be very, very, I would recommend being sensitive to that. So you don't say you were supposed to. You were saying, okay, would you like me to do that? Or can you handle that now?
Yeah.
Can you get that?
And
Can you get
and
that?
if something that you did that you were supposed to do did cause, just a bunch of other events to happen that were caused because of what you were supposed to do, then that's
I'm
something that
sorry.
really needs to be talked about. Yeah, I'm sorry. That won't happen again. I understand. Now I get why this is so important to you. I didn't, you take self-blame. Yeah, you were supposed to is it just starts an unnecessary again, maybe, or certainly more of a conflict than maybe necessary. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. I think these are great things to think about. Is
Can
there
we add number 6?
absolutely?
Okay. Because as you were talking, I just remembered something that happened the other day. We decided to go on a road trip. And on this road trip, we're in the middle of a pass. There's nothing anywhere, nowhere. And John says, we don't have any power. So now everything's flashing before my we're not going to get to go. You drove wrong. In my head, I want to blame him, right? So instead I said, okay, so what do you think we should do? So it was this very, very, very calm conversation. That was the most revelatory moment for me. I realized I wasn't blaming, I wasn't
Mm-hmm,
shaming, I
mm-hmm,
wasn't upset about it. I didn't feel like I missed out on anything. It's life. This is
mm-hmm.
life. This is a microcosm for life. How do
Yeah,
you handle it?
yeah.
Are you going to blame your partner, or are you going to say, hey, what do we need to do?
No, I know. I again, as always, look forward to the comments on this. If what came up for you when we just brought these trigger phrases there, and how do you handle it? What suggestions do you have? What works? What doesn't work? And then I'll just close again by saying that I love these little simple things because you don't consciously think about it unless it's pointed out to you. And I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
to myself here. When I read this, like, oh God, I just don't do this, Silka. So I'll let you
Right.
close, Joan.
I would
Yeah.
just invite the viewers to add their trigger phrases so that I think it would be an interesting thing because we
Yeah.
all have our own picadillos. That's a word. Always, always just do your best. Be kind, be
Mhm.
aligned with your own values, and just do your best. You'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Joni, thank you. As always, we'll link to all of your information to your coaching page. Absolutely get a hold of Joni if you need to talk about some of this stuff.
Yes.
And of course, your podcast, Wake Up with Joni. You have some fabulous guests. I look forward to having you back again on Second Act TV.